What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my full card breakdown and prediction for Dana White's Contender Series, week number 8. We are getting right back into it here. It's been a fun season, a season of some big upsets, especially as of late. Some really good fights, some questionable signings. I think we have it all this season. I think it's a very, very good season thus far, and I think this card this week is going to be no different. I think there's a lot of fun fights this week especially. So looking forward, as always, to be breaking this card down. Before we get into it, if you guys could do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also leave me a comment as well. I do want to shout out the sponsor of the show, that is Prize Picks. If you check out Prize Picks, use the promo code DFSBTN. You'll get $50 instantly when you place your first $5 lineup. And yes, they do have Prize Picks for Dana White's Contender Series, so check it out. Promo code DFSBTN and get yourself a free $50 when you place your $5 lineup. There you go. All right. With all that out of the way, I say we get into some fights here. I think that sounds like a great idea. And we're going to start with the first fight of the card. It is Jacobe Smith going against Christen Savoie. We got Jacobe Smith. He is training out of AKA and Fortis MMA. He's 28 years old, 6'2" with a 72-inch reach. He's 8-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Jacobe Smith. He has a 75% finish rate. All those come by knockout. No subs on the record of Smith there. Some notes I have on Jacobe Smith. He comes forward and marches his opponents down. He landed a nasty right hand that completely melted his last opponent. And he landed a nasty follow-up shot that I thought, should have put the ref in jail. I mean, I think the ref should be convicted for just getting there way too late. It was kind of hard to watch. I kind of felt bad for the guy. But yeah, this guy, Smith, has just a ton of power. He has quick hands, a ton of power in those hands, like I mentioned. He's just going out there and casually knocking some of these guys out with no effort. The fight prior to that, he absolutely wrecked this dude. And same thing, nasty follow-up shot. The ref showed up late, and he's just brutal on the feet. But that's not the only thing with Jacobe Smith. This guy has a wrestling background. He wrestled at Oklahoma State University. His wrestling is very, very good. And when he wants a takedown, he's getting that takedown. He's very heavy on top. He's active at the ground and pound. And he's going to be tough to deal with for guys because it's okay, you want to strike with this guy? Probably not. Do you want to get taken down by this guy? Probably not. I mean, this guy's good everywhere. He can take you down if he wants to, or if he wants to knock you out, he'll do that, exactly that. His cardio looks good. The cardio's good. He's been the distance twice, I think, and then even in both those fights, he won the third round. He didn't only win the third round, he dominated the third round. So he's got the striking, the power, the wrestling, the cardio. Everything seems to be checking out for Jacobe Smith. On top of that, is trained with some really good guys as well. So really liked what I saw from Jacobe Smith. As far as Christen Savoie, he is training out of House of Champions MMA. He's 32 years old, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach, 10-1-1, and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses for Savoie. He lost to Basil Hafez by first round submission in 2020 in CFFC. Savoie has a 70% finish rate. All those come by knockout. No submissions on his record either. Some notes I have on Savoie is he's extremely aggressive, has a ton of power in his own right, has some very nasty leg kicks as well. I watched his fight that ended in a draw, and he looked really good in the first round. Really good. I mean, his right hand couldn't miss. I swear he landed it 50 times. He hurt his opponent very badly in that first round. He was actually on his way to what looked like a 10-8 round, but he landed some shots that were potentially to the back of the head. The ref stopped the fight, took a point, and he was completely gassed out after that. He really tried to go out there and finish the dude in the first round. He couldn't do it, and then he completely gassed out. He was done. He had nothing left. I think the cardio could be in question, but he's very dangerous early, and it's just a ton of power in general, Savoie. His hands are impressive, and he can put guys out, and just has a ton of power in those hands and kicks. So yeah, in the first round, I think Savoie is going to be a pretty tough guy to deal with. His takedown defense is awful. It's terrible, and he probably will get taken down here. I've seen him just ragdolled out there like it's nothing, and it's just not a good look for this matchup specifically. Hafez was also able to take him down, which there's no shame in that. Hafez also eventually submitted him, but he's getting taken down in pretty much every fight. So, yeah, the takedown defense of Savoie is a problem. The cardio is a problem as well. I think it's kind of a tough matchup for him. Some final thoughts. I was really impressed with Smith. But I think it'd be wise to use that wrestling here, at least in the first round. Like the striking of Savoie, it's no joke. I think he's extremely dangerous, and if he does go out there and strike with Savoie, I mean, he could be playing with fire. Not saying he can't win that fight. It's just, I would take this guy down, wear him out a little bit. The cardio of Savoie is pretty terrible. The takedown defense is non-existent. As long as Smith doesn't go out there, stand and bang and get caught, I think he goes out there, kind of dominates the fight, and eventually finds a finish in the second or third round. So I'm going to take Smith to break Savoie down and knock him out. I'll say third round knockout for Jacobe Smith. As far as the odds here, we have Smith as a minus 625 favorite, Savoie as a plus 450 underdog, which I believe makes Jacobe Smith the biggest underdog, or the biggest favorite on the card at minus 625 there. Moving on to the next fight, it is the return of Torrez Finney. I feel like I've broken down this guy on Dana White's Contender Series like 3 times now. But yeah, Torrez Finney, he is going to be taking on Abdellah Er-Ramy. We'll start with Torrez Finney. He's training out of Agoge Combatives. Agago? I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's too late for this, man. He's 25 years old, 5'8", with a 75.5-inch reach. He's 9-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses for Finney. He beat Yuri Panfarov last year on the Contender Series by second-round submission, and he just recently won on the Contender Series this year in Week 2 against Cam Ralston by decision. Very good win. Both those were pretty good wins, and Ralston's no joke. So, yeah, solid wins there. Torrez Finney, 78% finish rate, 67% by knockout, and 11% by submission. Some notes I have on Finney. As we know now, he's very small for middleweight in terms of height, but this guy's built like an absolute fridge. He's jacked. This guy could run through like multiple brick walls. He starts very quick and looks to find the finish. He doesn't really strike much. He's pretty much going for takedowns as soon as the fight starts. We've seen that in both his Contender Series fights thus far, and then we'll also see that outside of those Contender Series fights as well, is what he does. He was hurt multiple times in his first Dana White's Contender Series fight against Panfarov. He was getting wobbled across the cage, but he showed a lot of resilience and was able to find the submission in round 2, which I thought was a great look, and he didn't earn a contract after that. He took down Cam Ralston 10 times, but was also not awarded a contract for some reason, and I think he needs a finish here. He needs to finish this fight, or he's probably not getting a contract. I don't know how many times this guy has to win on the Contender Series against good guys at that. So he's a very strong wrestler. I believe he has a wrestling background. He's able to get the fight down to the mat very easily. I mean, 10 takedowns in the middleweight division, we just don't see that all too often at all. His top control is very good. He has devastating ground and pound, and he's very active with that ground and pound, and he's completely destroyed a lot of these guys. He takes them down, overwhelms them on the mat, and shows them the door. This guy can also go 15 minutes with all that muscle, and his cardio doesn't look completely terrible. We saw him do it in his last fight against Ralston, and I've seen him do it once before. But yeah, Dana White was not impressed with either one of his performances, and I'm not really sure why. And I think Finney is very good, and I think he's a UFC caliber fighter. I mean, there's been some trash signings this year, but Finney's not signed. I just don't get it. As far as Abdellah Er-Ramy, he's training out of Lilius Barnett Martial Arts. He's 28 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach. He's 7-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Er-Ramy. He has a 71% finish rate. All those come by knockout. No submissions on his record. So there is not a ton of footage available on this guy at all. Like, I was not able to find much. But he has a very, rough matchup ahead of him, I think, here. The level of competition is pretty not that great, I'd say, but he's not going out there and fighting complete cans. He's fighting guys that I think at least have a pulse, just looking at their record. Here's the thing, though. I was looking for one of his fights. I clicked on a link for one of his fights, and my computer completely froze. I was terrified. There was a voice, like an AI voice, that said, like, your IP address has been stolen. Type in your password to, like, your Apple ID or something. And I was terrified because, you click on these streaming websites at times, and, things will pop up. That's not what happened. Something popped up, but it had control of, like, my whole computer. I was not able to click out of anything. I was actually scared. I was terrified. I couldn't click out of it for like 2 minutes, and there was like a loud beeping noise. Beep, 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 beep. Got your IP address. Like, what? Like, what? It scared the hell out of me. But I was eventually able to back out, and I think I'm okay. You know what? Fuck this guy. Fuck Abdullah Er-Ramy for that, man. I mean, I was almost hacked. I hope Finney destroys this dude. I mean, that's unacceptable. So I didn't want to go back and try again. Why would I? So I was not able to watch any footage on this guy other than like some highlights. Was able to see some highlights. But man, I have to go Finney here because I've seen with my own eyes that he's a UFC caliber fighter. There have been so many, like I said, terrible signings. And I don't want to go through some of the names. We could talk about Jose Medina was signed. But yeah, the fact that he's fighting a third time is just wild to me. I expect him to do what he does, get takedowns, pound out this guy, and get him out of there, if not win a dominant decision. But I think he needs a finish here. He needs to make a statement. So I'll go with Finney to win this fight, and I'll take him to win this fight by second round knockout. So I'd be careful with this one, guys, because Torrez Finney, he's only minus 220, and Abdellah Er-Ramy's plus 180. So that probably means that, somebody must know something about this Abdellah Er-Ramy. I was not able to see much of him. From what I saw, he looks good, whatever. But I was only able to see literally like a highlight tape type thing. So, but yeah, Finney, from what I've seen with my own eyes, this guy is ready for the UFC. So I will be picking him here. I'll pick him to win by second round TKO. Moving on to the next fight, we have David Martinez. He's taking on Xavier Franklin. We'll go with David Martinez first. He's training out of Bone Breakers MMA. He's 26 years old, 5'5" with a 66-inch reach, 10-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Nobody too notable for David Martinez, but he's fought some okay guys in there and some decent promotions. He has a 90% finish rate. All those come by knockout. So notes I have on Martinez here. I love the body work for Martinez, and really both guys. We'll talk about both guys. They really both dig to the body in there. Has some good movement, likes to take his time in there, get his reads, has some pretty solid hands when he does decide to let them go. He can be a little bit low volume in there, and like I said, a lot of movement, and he seems to kind of like really frustrate his opponents in there, and he has a little bit of pop in his punches, and I've seen him get most of his opponents out of there. He doesn't really, I guess he has power. He's knocking these guys out, but it doesn't really look like he's hitting hard. The takedown defense looks solid. If he does end up getting taken down, he usually pops right back up. I have seen his back get taken, though, but he's able to survive. The cardio isn't terrible. I saw him get a 4th-round knockout in one of his fights. He's scrappy, good cardio. I like the movement, the body work, but I wasn't overly impressed, to be honest. I think he's just okay, David Martinez. As far as Xavier Franklin, I'm not really sure where he trains, but he's 28 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, 5-0, and 5-0 in his only 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Franklin. He has a 60% finish rate, 40% by knockout, and 20% by submission. Notes I have on Franklin, he's very patient on the feet as well, but when he does decide to throw, he throws with very bad intentions. Anything this guy throws, he's looking to take your head completely off. Now my computer's acting up. Maybe I did get hacked. Hopefully... All right, whatever. You guys can't see it on the screen, but like everything, like it's not good. It's not good. So yeah, don't try to research this Abdellah guy. Don't do it. But I'll try to continue on the best I can. So anyway, Franklin does have a wrestling background. He wrestled both in high school and a little bit of college, and it shows in some of his fights. He can definitely get takedowns here, I feel like, but I'm not sure he'll be able to keep down Martinez. I think, mixing in the wrestling could help out here, though. Give Martinez something to think about type thing. I think he's pretty solid wrestling background, pretty solid and dangerous striking to go along with it. Yeah, I like what I saw from Xavier Franklin. I think both these guys are pretty okay. Final thoughts on this matchup. I think this is the toughest fight on the card for me to call personally. I think this fight's going to come down to who's coming forward and who's being more aggressive. Both guys are pretty evenly matched on the feet, I'd say. Both guys love to work the body. Franklin, I think, is going to kind of dictate where this fight takes place, and I can definitely see him getting some takedowns. I think this fight's a coin flip, though. Give me Franklin to slightly edge this one out on the scorecards, but I think this will be a close fight. Nonetheless, give me Xavier Franklin to win this fight by decision. We got David Martinez minus 155, Xavier Franklin, the underdog, at plus 125. Moving on to the next fight. It is my favorite fight on the card. I think this is one of the better fights of like the season, to be honest. This fight's going to be a freaking banger. We got Alberto Montes going against Carlos Calderon. We'll start with Montes. He's training out of the Goat Shed. He's 30 years old, 5'7", with a 69-inch reach, 9-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses, he was actually supposed to fight Steve Garcia on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2019, but he did have to pull out due to injury. let's see here. He has a 67% finish rate, 11% by knockout, and 56% by submission. Some notes I have on Montes here. He was supposed to fight Robbie Ring this week. They were letting Robbie Ring come back in there this week, but Robbie Ring pulled out, and in steps Carlos Calderon. I'm not sure how short notice it is, but it's somewhat short notice, I guess, nonetheless. So Montes, he throws hard kicks to the body and the head. He goes to the legs as well. He's just very kick heavy in general. I'd say like 90% of what he throws is going to be some type of kick. He's so aggressive and looks to break you down and kind of forces you to shoot in on him. And when you do, it's over. He's one of those guys. He'll overwhelm you with the kicks, the pressure. He'll make you shoot in, and once you do, the fight's over. He's been brutally knocked out in his only loss. It was at Titan FC. It was not the best look in the world. Got completely flatlined. Was kind of hard to watch. But other than that, he has shown good durability. The takedown defense of Montes looks good. If he does get taken down and get back up, he will threaten with submissions, and he'll get submissions as well. He has a very, very, very opportunistic submission game, and if you make one mistake, he's going to snatch up your neck. I like the aggressiveness on the feet, and I like the submission game to go along with it, and I think he's pretty solid overall. It's like you go watch some of Montez's fights, and the majority of the fights, this is how it plays out. He kicks them to the body, to the head, his opponents shoot in, and then he snatches their neck, and the fight's over. I mean, this guy is really good at snatching up his opponent's neck. So, yeah, I liked what I saw from Montes. As far as Carlos Calderon, he's training out of Elevation Fight Team. He's 28 years old, 5'11", with a 71-inch reach, 6-2, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. No notable wins or losses for Calderon. He has an 83% finish rate, 33% by knockout, and 50% by submission. Notes I have on Calderon, he is very hittable, very wild. He's willing to eat one to give one. I've seen him drop before. He's overly aggressive in there and leaves a lot of openings. His style makes for a fun and exciting fight, though. I think when this fight, really wherever this fight goes, this fight's going to be complete chaos. He will go for takedowns in his own right, but I just don't think that'd be wise here because when guys go for takedowns against Montes typically subs them. So although I think Calderon's a good grappler, I just don't know if wrestling would be the best choice here. And I kind of think he needs to avoid the ground at all costs. And like I said, his ground game is good, and he actually has plenty of submissions. He's finished half his fights by submission. So like offensively on the mat, he's dangerous, but defensively, he leaves a lot to be desired. He's making mistake after mistake. He's getting put into bad spots. He's getting his back taken. And yeah, you can't make a mistake. There's no room for error against Alberto Montes. So it's like if he does go to the ground, he's got to be perfect, and that's just not what he does. He makes a ton of mistakes. So the ground game's a concern. I think he's going to be at a decent grappling disadvantage here. So I think this is going to be a pretty tough matchup for Calderon, and here's why. I think he's going to be at a disadvantage and really in danger wherever this fight goes. I've seen him taken down way too much and put into way too many bad spots. He's extremely hittable on the feet. Montes should be able to land some hard kicks against this guy. And the thing that really worries me about Calderon is the fact that he does wrestle. And if he does, there is a chance he's getting submitted here. I think this is the most violent fight on the card, and I'm taking Montes to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win this fight by first round submission. Montes minus 260, and Calderon is plus 220. All right, main event here. We got, holy crap, I like to write down the pronunciations the best I can, but these are wild. So we got Diyar Nurgozhay going against Bartosz Szewczyk. That last name, it doesn't look like all those letters should be like that. It just, that's crazy, man. Some of these last names. But yeah, Nurgozhay. He's training out of Iranian MMA pro team. He's 27 years old, 6'2", with a 74-inch reach, 9-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Nurgozhay, he beat Magomedov by decision in 2021, who's pretty solid, and then he also beat Emiliano Sordi by first-round knockout his last fight. Sordi fought on the Contender series. Who did he fight against? Was it Ryan Spann, I think? I think he fought against Ryan Spann on the Contender series back in like 2019, and Spann beat him there. Some notes I have on Nurgozhay, has a 78% finish rate, 56% by knockout, 22% by submission. He has some pretty solid wins in his last few fights, but before that, he was crushing cans for the most part. But yeah, his last couple wins are pretty solid. He throws heavy leg kicks and kicks to the body, really attacks the body with those kicks and with punches too. He swings a little bit wild, but when he connects, he lands with power. He made his last opponent pretty much quit in there. So I like that. He comes forward with combinations to the head and the body. He's patient at times. He'll wait for openings, and then he'll kind of march forward with a bunch of combinations, power, and try to overwhelm you. Yeah, and when he does come forward, he can overwhelm his opponents. I've seen him break some guys in there, and he's dangerous overall. He's strong in the clinch. We'll look to get the fight down to the mat. His wrestling's pretty good. Like, he's very, very physically strong. He threw Magomedov down like it was nothing. He's very heavy on top, solid ground and pound. He can be a little bit overzealous, though, and make mistakes. The cardio is, it's iffy. It's iffy for sure, but he was able to go 3 rounds with Magomedov. He was tired, but Magomedov was just completely exhausted. He looks to be a good all-around fighter. I love the leg kicks, the wrestling, and the ability to get the fight down to the mat. And the recent level of competition as well, I think, is impressive. As far as Bartosz Szewczyk, he's training out of Ankos MMA Poznan. He's 27 years old, 6'4", with a 77-inch reach, 8-2-1, and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Notable wins or losses, none for Szewczyk. He has an 88% finish rate, though, 75% by knockout, 13% by submission. Some notes I have on Szewczyk: has a lot of experience, both as a pro and amateur, but he's not faced the best competition. So forget how many amateur fights he has. I think maybe like 6, 7, something like that. But he has a decent amount of overall experience, but there's just not the best competition for sure. He's a fast starter. He's looking to get right into the action. He pressures and has very solid hands, actually. He's coming forward the entire time with relentless aggression, and he's very fun to watch. He can be wild and leave some openings. He does have a good chin, but I've seen him rocked a couple times. He's one of those eat one to get one type fighters. I've seen him taken down and put in some pretty bad spots. I saw this dude take him down and take his back instantly. He is pretty strong and does a good job at working his way back up once he's taken down, and he doesn't settle. And he has some decent ground and pound. I've seen him get a sub as well, pretty much breaking his opponent on the mat. And yeah, his ground game offensively is not bad, but I think defensively could give him some problems in this matchup specifically. Yeah, I think it's a fun fight here. I definitely think that Nurgozhay has faced the better competition. I also think he's going to have a lot of success with those leg kicks. He's also going to be the one that dictates where this fight takes place. I think he can and will mix in takedowns here no problem and win minutes and potentially moments on top. And the thing is that scares me would be the cardio of Nurgozhay. But if his cardio does hold up, I do see him winning this fight and winning it by decision. So give me a Diyar Nurgozhay to win this fight, and I'll take him to win by decision. We pretty much have a pick 'em here. I'm pretty sure Nurgozhay opened up the favorite, but money has came in on Szewczyk. So maybe this line even flips in favor of Szewczyk. So we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that is about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys could, like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, let me know what you guys are liking for this card, and also be on the lookout for content for UFC 307. Got a big pay-per-view card coming up this week. Alex Pereira going against Khalil Roundtree. Content for that will be out shortly as well. So best of luck, guys. Dana White's Contender Series week number 8. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later.